Hello everybody. This video will be titled Aryan Origins. Before I get there, quick recap. After my last video, the YouTube taboo video, all of a sudden, this video that I spoke about has 31 views. Woohoo! Question is, what happened? If there is an algorithm that affects how many views you get based on the content of your video, what is it about my taboo video that convinced the algorithm to show this? And more so, let's do what I did yesterday. Same words, let's see what we get. Oh, 2 views. 2 views. So even though my channel now says 31, for everyone that may type in these words, it's only 2 views, which implies nothing to see here, right? I wanted to get that out the way. Now, to the main topic at hand. Everybody knows what Arianism is because of World War II. Let me refresh your memory. Aryan is a term that was used as a self-designation by Indo-Iranian people. The word was used by the Indic people of the Vedic period in India as an ethnic label for themselves and to refer to the noble class as well as the geographic region known as Aryavarta, where Indo-Aryan culture is based. The closely related Iranian people also use the term as an ethnic label for themselves in the Avesta scriptures and the word forms for the etymological source of the country name Iran. It was believed in the 19th century that Aryan was also a self-designation used by all Proto-Indo-Europeans, a theory that has now been abandoned. Scholars point out that even in ancient times, the idea of being an Aryan was religious, cultural, and linguistic, not racial. Drawing on misinterpreted references in the Rig Veda by Western scholars in the 19th century, the term Aryan was adopted as a racial category through the works of Arthur de Gobineau, whose ideology of race was based on an idea of blonde Northern European Aryans who had migrated across the world and founded all major civilizations before being diluted through racial mixing with local populations. Through the works of Houston Stewart Chamberlain, Gobineau's ideas later influenced the Nazi racial ideology, which saw Aryan peoples as innately superior to the other putative racial groups. Before I continue this, let's take a look at who the Aryans are today. Aryans today. So yeah, pretty much what they're saying. Blue-eyed, probably blonde people, Proto-Indian. Oh look, they're a douche student. But this is not what I wanted to show you guys. What I wanted to show you guys was Nazi Aryans. There we go. I'm pretty sure There's a large group today identifying them as the Aryan gang, perhaps? Oh, there we go. Aryan Brotherhood. There we go. Uh-huh. These people portray themselves as Aryans. Do they even know what that means? And please, no hate crimes, alright? Let's continue. The atrocities committed in the name of this racial ideology have led academics to avoid the term Aryan, which has been replaced in most cases by Indo-Iranian. The term now only appears in the context of the Indo-Aryan languages, which is pretty much all of India. No, it's... Oh, yeah, well, India. Etymology. The English word Aryan originally spelled Aryan. Wait a minute. This changes everything, doesn't it? Let's see what Aryan is. No, not Ariana Grande. Aryan. Oh, will you look at that? The first thing we are led to is called Arianism. So what is Arianism? Arianism is a non-Trinitarian Christological doctrine which asserts the belief that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, who was begotten by God the Father at a point in time, a creature distinct from the Father, and is therefore subordinate to him, but the Son is also God, i.e. God the Son. Arian teachings were first attributed to Arius, a Christian presbyter in Alexandria of Egypt. Okay. So, who is this Arius individual? If you go down, we have a picture of Arius. Oh my goodness, what do we have here? Look at this man. Look at his head. Does this look like a normal head to you? Sure doesn't look normal to me. It looks like an elongated skull. Okay. Any other pictures of this Arius individual? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, it still implies an elongated skull. Any other pictures? This too implies an elongated skull, doesn't it? And that's about all there is. Oh yeah, look at that head. Just look at that head. It's just amazing. So, I'll just briefly recap that video that YouTube does not want you to see. There was, in the early days of the Roman Church, or rather the Catholic Church of today, there was not universal agreement on what Christian theology should be, Christian doctrine. There were those in the East that had one perception of what it should be like, and there were those in the West that had a different perception of what it should be like. Those in the East tended to believe, just like the word Aryan, Arianism suggests, which is based on the individual Aryas, they believed that God created the sun, in a sense. Therefore, there are two distinct beings, and the Father is more powerful than the Son. The western side of the church, which up till present, and then there was the 7 ecumenical councils in the early days of the Christian church to determine which philosophy would prevail. And the one that prevailed was the one about the Trinity, where it pretty much says that God the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit are equally powerful, or 3 manifestations of the same thing. Well, if you read this Arianism article, you will get a good impression that what Arius was saying is that if the God, the Father, and if the God, the Son, are the same, that means it's really one mind, one consciousness. But if the Father and the Son are 2 separate things, it implies the Father has free will and the Son has free will. 2 different consciousnesses. So in essence, if the Son was made by the Father, he has his own free will, his own choices in life to do right, his own choices to do wrong. While the version that accepted the Trinity says that the consciousness of God acts through the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which means that one consciousness manifests itself through everything. So in essence, no free thought, no free will. Everything in your mind is a result of a higher power. Every single one of your actions is the result of a higher power. So in essence, the side that won is the side that embraces the philosophy of no free will. And the law that was established out of these ecumenical councils was the canon law. And canon law, I've come to conclude that in modern day, manifests itself through the internet to take control of everybody's minds and actions through Sophie the AI. So in essence, Sophie the AI to me has become the manifestation of canon law. And this is being utilized everywhere the Holy See exists. And if you don't know what the Holy See is, if you haven't seen that video, it is pretty much everywhere that the Catholic Church has influence, which is literally the entire world. I won't repeat what I've already stated, but it's important to note that the first representative of the Holy See is Peter, Saint Peter, Pope Peter, same guy. And to me, he's also Jupiter. Jupiter and Saint Peter or Pope Peter, same thing. Now, going back to this picture of this individual. Where was it? Where was it? Going back to this guy. He has an elongated skull. which made me think greatly about how does the Pelagians tie into the Roman Church? What is it that remained from the past era of the Pelagians to the current era of Homo sapiens as we know today? And who are these figures with these elongated heads? Because you don't really see them in society too much, right? And I finally realized, wow, okay, so there was Titanomachia. In Titanomachia, the race of the Titans, also known as the Tartarians, led by Saturn, also known as Kronos, also known as Almoxis, also known as Zoroaster, also known as Santa Claus, also known as the Father. Tata, Tata in Romanian is father. Titan is another derivation of the same word. Tartar, another derivation of the same word. And Tartarians is the plural of the word Tata, which means fathers. He was the ruler, the leader of the fathers. Now, as a Titan, he was of immense size, right? And as I've shown in other videos, mountains today seem like they have figures in them. The simulacrum of Saturn, the Romanian Sphinx, I've come to conclude might be his petrified head. In fact, all the statues around the world that show stone beings with elongated heads, to me, have become the petrified remains of former living beings. In other words, I've come to conclude the entire world was populated by Pelagians before there was oceans. And then during Titanomachia, something happened that the oceans enveloped the entire world, and a few titans survived in the mountains, perhaps, or their genealogy somehow. And that genealogy became part of what would be Homo sapiens later on, the current version of us. However, some of them retained these skull shapes. Based on my understanding, Titanomachia was an event, a war, where immense weaponry was used. In fact, let's take a good look. Europe. Oh crap. So, if you're looking at this area, in this area, let's focus on this area, which is, let's call it Minor Asia, the Middle East, whatever you want to call it. This area, and this area. Now this is mostly desert today. In fact, if you look at it, it kind of goes like this. To me, this is nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapons. No. Everywhere that is desert in this area was extremely high energy weapons, in my opinion. Dual weapons, just like the ones being used to start the California fires. They were the weapons used, known as Thunder of Jupiter, thunder and lightning, that instantly petrified a lot of folks, titans, caused oceans to develop and envelop the entire world. Now, this ideology is very complex. It needs to be explored more. I need to study it more. But perhaps even the were one before them. And if you look at the oceans, you get all these straight lines. Straight lines are not supposed to happen in nature, but you see them even in the ocean. And it's not like they're all going in the same directions. They're zigzagging, and there are too many features in the oceans to state that there never was dry land. To me, all the ocean waters are a new phenomenon. So in other words, let's see, Easter Island, for example. Easter Island. This was the top of a mountain, and there was a civilization in the waters all around it. In fact, even this right here looks like a mountain range. Wow. Going all this way, this way, this way, this way. Anyways, I don't want to get too lost into this. I don't want to make this video too long. I just want to point something out because this elongated skull made me really question just how many people had elongated skulls after this titanomachia. And then the question became, what if it was an alien invasion where somehow they combined some of their DNA with some of the Titan DNA, where the final product was the Homo sapiens body, but for the specific ruling class they maintained the elongated skull, at least initially. And then further genetic modification along the line created it that it will not be so visible to have these elongated skulls, but big heads still exist today. And I spoke about that already. So then, for this idea to be somewhat accurate, we have to look at former people. And well, what better thing to do than to study all the popes of Christianity? So I researched the first 30 or so popes to see images of them. This is St. Peter. Now, you could say that's the papal hat, papal whatever you want to call it. Okay, perhaps. Look at its elongated shape. Alright, that's what I'm pointing out, the elongated shape, which is similar to Arius. So, not so clear with St. Peter, right? Oh look, there's another one. And this is a modern version of that same thing. Look how awkward it looks on this man. Who is this man? Don't care. So Pope Peter, he was the first. Let's see who's next. Pope Linus. That's another thing. What is it with this patch of hair in the middle of the forehead? It makes no sense to me. I've never seen people like that. Oh, look. There's St. Linus. There's again the elongated hat. Okay. Here as well. So we have to question, is this type of hat, is the shape of the head, or something that is just purely religious, right? Hard to say. Here we also have this weird picture. I don't know who this is, but check out that head. The guy in the background suggests that it's somewhat distorted picture, so I won't take it for granted, you know. Let's continue. Statue of the man, again elongated. Pope Anacletus, looking normal. Let's look. Oh wait a minute. What is this? Look at this picture. His head seems pretty bulbous to me. Does that look great? On to the next. Pope Clement the First. Look at his statue. Conical as before. Look at that. What the heck is this? What is this? No more hat. But his head is still massive. What is this right here? It's like butt cheeks on his forehead. Look at his bulbous head. Just look at that. Look at this picture. What is that? So again, you have to wonder about these hats. Let me remind you. Elongated. So you have some pictures with them with regular size heads. Then you have pictures of them with weird shaped heads. And then you have statues which don't show the shape of the head at all, but they show this. What about this one? Let's see. Is that hair in the middle of the forehead and then above he's bald? I don't understand this picture. Seems to me it might have been altered. Anyways. Who's next? Pope Evaristus. Alright, what about this guy? Clearly, big forehead. Oh, what's this? Again, elongated hat. What else we got? Not too much about this guy. On to the next. Pope Alexander the First. Oh wow, clear cut with this man. Look at that. Look at it. That's very conical. Like the Phrygian hat, the Dacian hat, the Jetty hat. What else we got with him? Clear cut. Again, see that? The patch of hair in the middle of the forehead? I don't understand that. Oh look, he's wearing just a regular leather or soft cotton. I don't know. I don't know how they made their clothes, but that just looks like it's the shape of his head. To me, it looks pretty elongated. Anything else? I mean, just look at this. Just, wow. Even here, clearly you can see that his head is not normal size. Oh wait, this is Alexander the 8th? 1680 something? Never mind, different guy. But he still has a big head too. Alright, who's next? Sixtus? Pope Sixtus. Look at that. Look at that. Look at Sixtus the Third. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Am I proving my point yet? Am I proving my point that if you research for yourself, all these people that led in the past, look at that. What kind of hairstyle is this? If you research, you'll see this for yourself. I'm not manufacturing this information. It's right before our eyes. All we need to do is be able to see. Look at this. Pope Hyginus. Elongated skull. Who's next? Pius the First. I mean, look at this. Look at that forehead. I don't know which pope this is, but clearly that's not normal. That is just not normal. That little bit of hair right there. All these people had long skulls. I think the halos and that patch of hair in the middle of the head symbolizes that they had elongated skulls. This is Pope Pius the First. Why can't we see his entire head? Anyways, look at this. Look at this man. Just what are you hiding under there, buddy? Look at this guy. Just what is that? Who is this? Anicetus. Look at this. How is that proportionate to the body? How? Who's this? Pope Soter. Elongated skull. Who's next? Pope Eleutherius. So these are the earliest popes, starting with Pope Peter. Look at this guy. You couldn't wear a crown like that unless you freaking had the right sized head to wear it. Do you know? Not that I've ever done it myself because I don't have the resources. But I bet you if you put a metal crown on your head for longer than a few hours, few minutes really, it's gonna get heavy. It's gonna get uncomfortable. Pope Victor the First. Was he black? He was a black man. So what is this racism issue throughout the 18th century and the 19th century and the 20th century with slavery and Africans? If there was a pope in the Roman Church, then clearly racism was never an issue. Look at this man, Pope. Look at this man. Black man. Pope Zephyrinus. Clear cut, elongated skull. Patch of hair in the middle of the forehead. Bulbous head. You have to be blind to not see this stuff. I've been blind too. I never realized any of this stuff till recently. Pope Calixtus. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, just look at that. Urban the First. Look at this. You have to understand that this material is the same as this material. You can easily tell. So then it's just shaping to the shape of his skull. So then his skull is literally like that. Who is this? Urban the Seventh. That's not even the first. And again, look at this. Tell me who has hair like this nowadays? Who? Unless what we see here was actually way higher. Look at this. Just look at this. Who are these people? And most of the time they align with the Arius philosophy. Not all of them. It seems to me that they all have similar beginnings. The more I research, that's the more I conclude. But there was definitely a shift in philosophy, and it seems to me that the ones centered around the Carpathian Mountains tended to be more non-Trinitarian. But also beyond that, because if we return back to Arianism, eventually we'll get to see where the Indo-European languages were spoken, which is pretty much everywhere. But the main concentration was here. The Carpathian Mountains, more or less. Now, okay, Aryan relates to, they said, the Vedic period of India. Okay. So then, Vedic period paintings. Let's see what we have here. Wait. I probably should have done this already. Oh yeah, that's one. The cult of Mithra with the hat, which could be Dacian, Getian, Phrygian. Mithra is really Prometheus. Then Sushana tells the entire story about that. Okay. Different approach. Vedic statues. Here we go. What's this? Is that an elongated skull? Is that an elongated skull? What about him? Is that an... Well, judging by this, what about her? Is that an elongated skull? And will you look at that elongated skull and riding a lion? Remember the lion? Very important. Shiva! Is that an elongated skull, Shiva? Or are you a pope too? Huh? This looks like a lot of different animals, but all of them have elongated skulls. Who is this? So do you understand who the Aryans were now? They were not just the Roman Church. They literally were what this page says, the Proto-Indo-European Europeans. And they ruled it was actually more like this whole area was Proto-Indo-Europeans or Pelagians. But this was after the reign of the Titans, after Titanomachia. So Titans were Pelagians. These people that came afterwards, like the Vedics, the Getae, the Thracians, the Scythians, and everyone else that came after them, because they spread outwards everywhere. They founded most of Europe and the Middle East and North Africa. After them, the name started to change based on the local religions, which were based on local nature, because all of these people were considered pagans in their time, or rather, today they're considered pagans. And a common characteristic of paganism is worship of idols. Well, the idols are statues. Statues are the petrified bodies of the Titans, the ancestors. So, in this area specifically, the Carpathian Mountains, even though after Titanomachia people were no longer the same, because these people were born in those lands where the Titans really used to live, especially the Carpathian Mountains, they never forgot where they came from. They're tied to the land. And that's how they maintained memories of the past spoken through verbal traditions, folklore, which now for the most part has been forgotten. So, going back to the title of this video, Aryan Origins. Aryans are not what Hitler tried to do. In fact, World War II in part was created to tarnish the memory of this individual with his beautiful skull and to tarnish the memory of Arianism, which is pretty much non-Trinitarian or free will based, something that no longer exists in Christian doctrine today, where free will is equivalent to canon law, and canon law always poisons our minds through Sophie the AI via the internet or the smart grid created by 5G. This is Aryan Origins. And if you want to take this concept further, study all religions, all cultures, all people of the world going back to 600 BC, and notice that such skull shapes are common everywhere, everywhere, everywhere.